The massive space-time portal opened near Saturn without warning. Humanity's deep space monitoring stations detected the anomaly just moments before dozens of alien vessels emerged from the swirling vortex of energy. It was the middle of the 23rd century, and while mankind had successfully expanded throughout the solar system with colonies on Mars and several moons, our interstellar travel technology remained rudimentary at best. No one was prepared for visitors from beyond our star system. The alien ships moved with graceful precision, their hulls gleaming with an iridescent metal unknown to human science. Each vessel radiated power through glowing energy conduits that pulsed like arteries along their elegant, predatory forms. The largest ships stretched 5 to 6 kilometers in length, dwarfing humanity's most impressive space vessels. They arranged themselves in a perfect formation that spoke of military discipline honed across centuries of conquest. Panic spread across Earth and its colonies as emergency broadcasts interrupted daily life. News feeds displayed the alien armada, with analysts stammering as they tried to explain what humanity was facing. The Earth Defense Force, humanity's unified military command, went to maximum alert status. Every orbital weapon platform, every fleet vessel, every ground-based launcher prepared for what many feared would be humanity's final hour. In the EDF's fortified command center beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Eva Rostova stood rigidly before the holographic display of the solar system. Her weathered face, marked by decades of military service, betrayed no emotion as she studied the alien fleet's movements. Around her, the Security Council members argued frantically. Our preliminary analysis suggests their technology is centuries ahead of ours, Admiral Jackson said, his voice barely audible over the heated debate. The energy readings from a single one of their cruisers exceeds our largest battleship by a factor of 20. General Rostova nodded. And our combat simulations? A young analyst stepped forward, her face pale. Ma'am, we've run 17 scenarios. In every one, Earth's defenses fall within hours. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Then, the central display flickered, and a new image appeared. The first visual contact with the alien species. The being on screen had a vaguely humanoid shape, but with gray-blue skin stretched over sharp, angular features. Multiple sets of eyes arranged vertically regarded the humans with unmistakable arrogance. People of Sol System, the alien spoke in perfect English, its voice resonant and commanding. I am Ambassador Kravix of the Vaker Imperium. Your system now falls within the territorial expansion zone of our glorious empire. The ambassador's mouth stretched into what might have been intended as a smile, but appeared predatory to human eyes. We are mildly impressed by your species' efforts to establish a presence beyond your homeworld. Such initiative deserves recognition. The alien paused, its primary eyes blinking in sequence. Therefore, we offer you the benevolent protection of the Imperium in exchange for your complete submission. Your technological achievements will be evaluated and worthy innovations incorporated into our greatness. Your biological distinctiveness will be preserved, though subject to improvement programs at our discretion. Behind the ambassador, a display showed the Vaker fleet, weapons systems highlighted and specifications scrolling. It was clearly intended to intimidate, a casual demonstration of overwhelming force. You have 72 of your Earth hours to prepare your formal capitulation ceremony. Our fleet will approach Earth at that time to receive your leaders and establish administrative control. This is a courtesy rarely extended to developing systems. The ambassador's voice hardened slightly. We suggest you use this time wisely. The transmission ended abruptly, leaving the command center in stunned silence. General Rostova was the first to recover. Give me the Secretary General and all planetary governors. We need to buy time. For the next 48 hours, human leaders engaged in carefully worded communications with the Vaker ambassador, requesting clarifications about the terms of submission, asking for cultural exchange information, anything to delay while desperately searching for options. The Vaker's patience ended abruptly. Without warning, A blinding beam of energy lands from one of their smaller vessels toward Jupiter's moon Europa, where humanity had established an important automated research outpost. The beam precisely vaporized the facility, leaving a perfectly circular crater 4 kilometers wide. Your delaying tactics are transparent and tiresome, Ambassador Kravix announced in a new transmission. This minor demonstration should clarify our capacity for precision and destruction. You now have 24 hours remaining. Prepare for comprehensive restructuring of your system if you continue this pointless resistance. In an underground facility beneath the Atlantic Ocean, humanity's highest military and political leaders gathered for what many believed would be their final war council. The mood was grim as General Rostova presented the latest simulations. Even if we commit every vessel and weapon in the solar system, we cannot defeat or significantly damage their fleet, she concluded. Our most powerful weapons barely register against their shielding technology. The room descended into desperate discussions of surrender terms and potential guerrilla resistance strategies when a commotion at the entrance drew everyone's attention. A security team was escorting an elderly man who seemed oddly out of place in the high-level meeting. Who authorized this civilian? Demanded the Chinese representative. General Rostova stepped forward. I did. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Dr. Eris Thorne. Until 15 years ago, he was the chief engineer and historian for the Chimera project. Blank faces stared back at her. I'm not surprised none of you have heard of it, she continued. The project was officially terminated and all records classified beyond top secret during the interplanetary Cold War between Earth and the Mars colonies. Dr. Thorne stepped forward. The old engineer moved with difficulty, his back bent from decades of work in varying gravity environments. Despite his physical frailty, his eyes sparkled with intelligence and something else, a feverish intensity that commanded attention. What General Rostova is trying to explain, he said, his voice surprisingly strong, is that I might know about our last, best hope for survival. Though I warn you, it's not really a hope at all. More of a desperate gamble with terrible odds. The Secretary General gestured impatiently. We're 20 hours from surrender or annihilation, Dr. Thorne. We'll take any gamble, no matter how desperate. The old engineer nodded and activated his personal datapad. A holographic projection appeared in the center of the room. Not of a spacecraft, as everyone expected, but of enormous hollowed-out asteroids containing massive technological structures. This was Chimera, Dr. Thorne explained. Not a ship, but a series of space stations, or more accurately, defense platforms, built inside the largest asteroids in the Kuiper Belt. They were designed not as mobile battle platforms, but as stationary fortresses equipped with weapons based on theoretical physics that pushed beyond the boundaries of what we considered safe or sane. The projection showed enormous weapon emplacements, power generators the size of cities, and structural support systems that seemed to defy conventional engineering. We developed artificial wormhole generators, space-time cannons, and other theoretical weapons that were never fully tested or even completed due to their prohibitive costs, mind-boggling complexity, and potential for self-destruction. Dr. Thorne's voice grew quieter. The project was suspended and hidden because it was considered a waste of resources and too dangerous to continue. Its original purpose was to deter other human factions during our darkest days of internal conflict. If these weapons were never completed or tested, how can they help us now? Asked the European Union president. Dr. Thorne smiled grimly. Because the Vaker don't know that. The stations still exist, abandoned but largely intact. We don't need to fight with them. We just need to make them look operational and terrifying enough that the Vaker reconsider their invasion. You're suggesting we bluff an advanced alien civilization? The Brazilian representative sounded incredulous. Exactly, General Rostova interjected. We don't need functional planet killers. We need the Vaker to believe we have weapons so strange and powerful that they pose an unpredictable threat. Heated debate erupted immediately. Many considered the plan too far-fetched, too dependent on alien psychology they couldn't possibly understand. But as hour after hour passed with no better alternatives emerging, The desperate gamble began to look like their only option. Finally, General Rostova called for a vote. We have 18 hours until the deadline. Dr. Thorne believes we can partially activate the Chimera stations within that time frame, enough to create a convincing display. Those in favor, one by one, hands raised across the room. The vote was unanimous, not from conviction, but from the absence of alternatives. Very well, the general said. Dr. Thorne and I will assemble a team immediately. We need the best engineers, scientists, and military personnel willing to undertake a mission with minimal chances of success. As the meeting disbanded, Dr. Thorne approached General Rostova privately. There's someone specific I want on this team. My former student, Dr. Lena Petrova. She specializes in exotic energy systems and theoretical physics. She's brilliant, though somewhat rebellious. General Rostova nodded. Find her. We need every brilliant mind we can get, rebellious or not. Within 3 hours, a team of 40 specialists had been assembled in a high-security hangar. They stood before General Rostova and Dr. Thorne as Dr. Lena Petrova arrived, escorted by security officers who clearly had needed to be persuasive in bringing her. Dr. Petrova was in her mid-30s, with intense eyes and an expression that mixed curiosity with skepticism. General, I was in the middle of critical research when your people practically kidnapped me. This had better be important. It's about the fate of our species, Dr. Petrova, General Rostova replied calmly. And it involves the Chimera project. Dr. Petrova's expression changed instantly. Chimera? That's a myth. A theoretical weapons platform that never existed except in funding proposals. Dr. Thorne stepped forward. I assure you, my dear, it's quite real, and you're going to help us bring it back to life. As Dr. Thorne explained the situation and the desperate plan, Dr. Petrova's initial skepticism transformed into reluctant fascination. By the time he finished, she was already mentally cataloging the technical challenges they would face. This is absolutely insane, she finally said. Reactivating abandoned, experimental weapons platforms that were never properly completed in the first place, with untested theoretical physics components, in less than 18 hours. She paused, then smiled unexpectedly. When do we leave? The fastest transport vessels in Earth's fleet were requisitioned for the mission. As they prepared for departure, each team member was briefed on their specific role. Dr. Petrova would lead the power systems team, responsible for bringing the ancient reactors online safely, or at least making them appear online. Other specialists would handle weapons systems, sensors, communications, and structural integrity. Remember, General Rostova told them before departure, we don't need these stations to actually work. We need them to look terrifying and unpredictable enough to make the Vaker reconsider. If we can create uncertainty in their mind about what they're facing, we might just survive this. The journey to the Kuiper belt normally took weeks, but with the transports pushing their engines beyond safety limits, they reached the first Chimera station, codenamed Cerberus, in just over 10 hours. As they approached the massive asteroid, external sensors detected no signs of activity. The giant rock floated silently in the void, indistinguishable from countless others in the belt. Are we sure this is the right one? Asked Commander Riley, the military officer assigned to Dr. Petrova's team. Dr. Thorne consulted his ancient access codes. Positive. The entrance should be on the southern hemisphere, disguised as a natural crater. As their ships circled the asteroid, they found the crater, a perfectly circular depression that had once housed massive doors designed to slide apart and reveal the hollowed interior. The team docked at a concealed airlock nearby and prepared to enter. Dr. Petrova led the first team inside, their helmet lights illuminating a vast, dusty corridor carved directly into the rock. The scale was staggering, clearly designed to accommodate massive equipment and prefabricated components. This way to the central command hub, Dr. Thorne directed, consulting an old schematic on his tablet. From there, we should be able to assess the condition of the primary systems. As they progressed deeper into the asteroid, the true scale of the Chimera project became apparent. They passed through cavernous chambers housing power generation equipment the size of skyscrapers. Massive conduits, easily wide enough for a person to walk through, stretched in all directions. Weapon emplacements that dwarfed Earth's largest battleships sat dormant in their cradles. The command center was a spherical chamber at the asteroid's core, surrounded by control stations and holographic projectors covered in dust. As the engineers began activating emergency power systems, weak lights flickered on, revealing the full extent of their challenge. "This is worse than I expected," Dr. Petrova murmured as she examined the main reactor controls. Different engineering teams built different components, often with incompatible interfaces. The documentation is fragmentary at best, and some of these systems look like they were designed by theoretical physicists with no practical engineering experience. Dr. Thorne nodded grimly. That's exactly what happened. The Chimera project was a political compromise. Each nation or corporate entity contributed their most advanced theoretical weapons research, but there was minimal standardization. Dr. Petrova studied the reactor schematics with growing concern. Starting these reactors improperly could trigger a cascading reaction that would tear this asteroid apart, and us with it. "Can you do it?" General Rostova asked through the communication link from her command ship. Dr. Petrova hesitated only briefly. "Yes, but we'll need to make modifications, improvise connections between incompatible systems, and pray to whatever gods might be listening." "You have 14 hours, the general replied. Teams at the other two stations, Hydra and Gorgon, report similar challenges. The next 12 hours were a blur of frantic activity. Teams worked in relay, catching brief moments of rest while others continued. Dr. Petrova found herself making engineering decisions that would normally require weeks of simulation and testing in mere minutes. They bypassed safety systems, jury-rigged connections between incompatible components, and focused on creating the appearance of functionality rather than actual operational capability. "We can't fully activate the main weapons," she explained during a brief status meeting. "But we can power up the targeting systems, energy accumulators, and external emitters. From the outside, it will look like we're preparing to fire." Dr. Thorne nodded approvingly. "Perfect. The uncertainty will be more frightening than any weapon we could actually deploy." With 2 hours remaining before the Vaker deadline, the 3 Chimera stations were as ready as they could be. Power systems operated at minimal levels, enough to create impressive energy signatures, but not enough to risk catastrophic overload. External doors and weapon ports were prepared for synchronized opening. Communication systems between the stations had been established, allowing coordinated action. General Rostova contacted the team from her command ship, which had positioned itself near Jupiter to monitor the approaching Vaker fleet. "They're moving into the inner solar system now. 17 capital ships and numerous smaller vessels. All weapons hot, formation perfect. They're making a show of force." Dr. Petrova looked around at her exhausted team. "Then I suppose it's time for our show." The Vaker fleet moved with confident precision past the orbit of Saturn, then Jupiter. Their formation was a textbook display of military superiority, designed to intimidate as much as to prepare for combat. On their command ship, Ambassador Kravix observed the approach to Earth with satisfaction. "No sign of resistance," reported the tactical officer. "Their military vessels have taken up defensive positions around their homeworld, but they've made no aggressive moves." "As expected," the ambassador replied. "Their leadership is clearly preparing for submission. Prepare the ceremonial guard for the acceptance of their surrender." A communication officer interrupted. "Ambassador, we're receiving a transmission from the humans." The message was brief and unexpected. General Rostova's face appeared on the command ship's main screen. Her expression showed neither fear nor resignation, but a cold determination that gave the ambassador pause. "Vaker Fleet, this is General Eva Rostova of the Earth Defense Force. Your advance stops here. Turn back now." Ambassador Kravix laughed. "Their bravado is amusing. Continue approach." "Ambassador," the sensor officer called suddenly, alarm evident in his voice. "We're detecting massive energy signatures activating near the edge of the system." Before the ambassador could respond, the tactical display updated, showing three enormous objects in the Kuiper belt beginning to transform. Massive sections of what had appeared to be ordinary asteroids were sliding apart, revealing structures unlike anything in the Vaker's considerable experience. The scale alone was staggering. Each station dwarfed the largest Vaker dreadnought by orders of magnitude. But it was the nature of the revealed structures that caused true alarm. They defied conventional design logic, with weapon emplacements and energy emitters arranged in patterns that made no tactical sense to Vaker military doctrine. Enormous power sources pulsed with unstable energy signatures that fluctuated wildly across the scanning spectrum. "What are we looking at?" demanded the ambassador, his composure slipping for the first time. The science officer's voice trembled slightly. "Unknown, Ambassador. These structures don't conform to any known shipbuilding or space station design principles. The energy readings are chaotic, contradictory. Some of these emissions shouldn't be possible according to our understanding of physics." On the Cerberus station, Dr. Petrova watched her jury-rig systems struggle to maintain the illusion. Power surges threatened to overload circuits never designed to work together. Coolant systems leaked. Warning lights flashed across every console. "Power levels at 63% and climbing," reported an engineer. "The reactors are becoming unstable. Keep them running," Dr. Petrova ordered. "Just a little longer." Across the void, the Vaker command staff stared in disbelief at the sensor readings. The tactical officer was the first to find his voice. "Ambassador, these structures, if they are weapons platforms, they're larger than planetary defense systems we've encountered in systems twice as advanced as this one. The power output from a single station exceeds our entire fleet. And the configurations, they make no sense." The weapons officer interjected. "Some of these emissions match theoretical models for space-time distortion weapons. Others suggest artificial singularity generation. The humans couldn't possibly have developed this technology at their current stage of development." Ambassador Kravix felt cold fear spreading through his body, an unfamiliar sensation for a representative of the mighty Imperium. Could they have discovered ancient technology? Perhaps remnants from one of the elder races. "Impossible to determine without closer scans," the science officer replied. "But whatever these are, they're active and appear to be targeting our fleet." A second transmission from General Rostova appeared on their screens. Her face remained impassive as she delivered her message. "This is our final line of defense. Withdraw or face consequences you cannot predict." In the tense silence that followed, the Vaker command staff engaged in hurried consultation. Their military doctrine was failing them. All their experience, all their superiority was suddenly in question. They faced not just unknown weapons, but weapons that operated on principles they couldn't comprehend, and that made them infinitely more terrifying. "The human vessels are insignificant," argued the military commander. "But these structures, we have no data on their capabilities, no defense parameters. The energy readings alone suggest destructive potential beyond our fleet's survival threshold." Ambassador Kravix stared at the tactical display, pride warring with self-preservation. The Imperium had never retreated from a primitive system. Yet the alternative might be the loss of their entire fleet to weapons of unknown, possibly cataclysmic power. "Begin tactical withdrawal," he finally ordered, the words bitter in his mouth. "Maintain weapons lock, but increase distance. We need more information before proceeding." On Cerberus Station, Dr. Petrova watched in disbelief as the Vaker ships began to reverse course. Around her, warning lights continued to flash as systems approached critical failure points. "They're retreating," she whispered, barely daring to believe it. General Rostova's voice came through the communication system, tense but controlled. "Hold positions. Keep everything running. They're not completely withdrawing yet, just repositioning." For 3 agonizing hours, the standoff continued. The Chimera stations maintained their threatening posture, while engineers fought to prevent system failures that would reveal the bluff. The Vaker fleet held position at the orbit of Saturn, sensors focused intensely on the mysterious human weapons. Finally, the decision came. The Vaker ships reformed their perfect formation and accelerated toward the space-time portal near Saturn's orbit. Within minutes, they had disappeared back into the swirling vortex, leaving the solar system as suddenly as they had arrived. Aboard Cerberus, the control room erupted in cheers and tears of relief. Similar celebrations broke out across the solar system as news of the Vaker withdrawal spread. Humanity had faced its first contact with an advanced alien civilization and somehow emerged intact. In the aftermath, General Rostova and Dr. Thorne met privately aboard the General's command ship. Both looked exhausted but satisfied as they watched the latest status reports from the Chimera stations, where emergency shutdown procedures were underway to prevent catastrophic failures. "We should dismantle them now," Dr. Thorne suggested. "They're too dangerous to maintain, too unstable to truly control." General Rostova considered this, then slowly shook her head. "No, the Vaker retreated, but they'll tell others about us, about what they saw here. The mystery of these weapons just became our greatest asset." "You're suggesting we maintain the bluff permanently?" Dr. Thorne asked. "I'm suggesting we carefully study and gradually stabilize the Chimera stations, not to make them fully operational. That may be beyond us for generations, but to ensure they can continue to serve as a deterrent. Meanwhile, we spread rumors, perhaps through trading contacts we'll eventually establish. Tales of the ancient guardians or doomsday fortresses that protect human space." Dr. Thorne nodded slowly. From primitive upstarts about to be conquered, to mysterious inheritors of terrible weapons that even a mighty Vaker fear. A new reputation built entirely on illusion and uncertainty. "Sometimes," General Rostova replied, "the most terrifying weapon isn't the biggest ship, but the one no one can understand." 6 months later, Dr. Petrova stood with General Rostova in an observation dome recently added to Cerberus Station. Below them, teams of engineers and scientists carefully studied and stabilized the ancient systems. The station would never work as originally conceived, but it no longer needed to. Its very existence had changed humanity's place in the galactic community. Already, 3 other alien species had made contact, cautiously, respectfully, offering non-aggression pacts and even potential alliances rather than demands for submission. Intelligence reports suggested that distorted stories of humanity's asteroid weapons had spread widely through nearby sectors of the galaxy. "They're calling us the enigmatic ones in some quarters," Dr. Petrova said, showing the general a translation of an intercepted alien communication. "The species with weapons that defy comprehension." General Rostova smiled faintly. "Better than the recently conquered ones, I suppose." They stood in silence, watching the stars. Humanity had entered the galactic stage not through superior firepower or advanced technology, but through the strategic application of uncertainty and fear. They had transformed abandoned relics of a darker time in human history into shields for a brighter future. "Do you think the Vaker will come back once they realize the truth?" Dr. Petrova asked eventually. General Rostova turned to look at the ongoing work below them. "By the time they gather the courage to return, I intend for there to be enough truth in the illusion that they'll wish they hadn't." Dr. Petrova nodded. In the vastness of space, humanity had learned its first crucial interstellar lesson. Sometimes perception created its own reality, and the unknown could be the most powerful weapon of all.